Okay, hi everybody. Hopefully that's a little bit better. Okay, perfect. Let's see. So if you can see what we're doing, let me know and give me like a wave or a thumbs up or something. I am going to go into somewhere else where I can see comments, I think. Thank you all for those who have joined back with us. Sorry for the, the miscommunication between our devices and everything. But yes, 11 weeks and not so bad if that is what's been happening. So let's go there. Perfect. Okay. So, hi everybody. Okay, thanks for bearing with us. Here we go. Sometimes technology is wonderful, other times, not so great, right? It's just how it goes. Okay, so right now what you should have, if you're joining us back here, is you should have this very first part of the branch. And remember, you can make yours this way if you like. Oh, as I put my paper towel and everything. I guess it's one of those Mondays today, isn't it? All right. So you can go either this way with your camera, or you can go this way with your camera, or with your picture today. So I'm going to go this way. So this is called portrait. This is landscape, and this is portrait. Okay. So grab your pencil. Now what we're going to do is draw the chameleon. So we're going to start with his head. So because I'm working this way, I have a much smaller space for me to grow my chameleon. So I'm going to know that this much of the paper here is going to be his body. So his tail and his body are going to go here. So his head, or her head, is going to go here. So I'm going to draw a line, and I'm going to make it go backwards a little bit at the top like that. And I can erase this part here. And then what we're going to do from that line is go down like this, and then, oh my goodness, scoop the bottom up like that. So it's kind of like a little bit of a pointed head, like a helmet. Okay. If you really want, from this little point here, you can go ahead and add a mouth or a smile. And if you notice on the one I've done up here, I've actually connected that. I've made two colors by making a line that goes all the way up. And then later I took some black paint and I made that into a mouth there. So it's up to you. This is your chameleon. You can make it look however you wish. If your head is wider or narrower or whatever other way, that is okay because it's yours, right? Okay, so let's make the chameleon's back. So we're going to start just a little bit below that point. And we're going to make a big curve that goes up and down. And watch this. We're going to do a gentle spiral just towards the middle like that. Okay? So you can make it as spirally as you want, but I find if you make it too many spirals, if you go too far in, it gets complicated to draw and paint. It's so tiny. So you want to make sure it's just a gentle spiral, just like so. Okay, so to make the next part, we're going to do here first. So you start just by the chameleon's chin, and watch where I end. Ready? So just watch this step first, and then you can go and do it. I'll wait for you, I promise. So we're going to go like this. And we're going to stop with just that much space there. Okay? So go ahead and draw that line. And then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to follow your spiral, but we're going to get smaller as we get to the end. So you might want to watch this too. Ready? So I'm going to start here. So watch before you do. I'm going to start here. And then I'm going to stay wider, and then get smaller, and then get a little smaller, and then get a little smaller. And if it doesn't get too small all the way, that's okay. I'm going to connect it just like that. So our chameleon's tail is perfectly straight. Nope, just like the branches, not perfectly straight. So it is okay if it's a little bit wonky because maybe there's different muscles or different scales, or the chameleon's growing and certain spots are faster growing than others, and that's okay. Yeah, let's make it look natural. Well, as natural as a rainbow chameleon can be. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to hop back to the face here, and we're going to put a big eyeball, just like that. You can make it as big or as little as you want. I like when it's a little bit bigger. And see how I made that oopsie line there? That mistake? I don't really like calling it a mistake. It's like an oops. Or like a, maybe it would work, maybe it wouldn't. That's fine. I'm just going to erase that and then put this right back in like that. Okay. So let's look at chameleon legs. So they have legs just like other lizards, but the way that their hands work is they really only have 2 toes. And the 2 toes grab things like this. They can go really wide and grab really wide branches, or they can close around something really small. Those 2 little toes that they have, just like that. Can you do a chameleon toes? So pretend that these were all joined together, and this was bigger. That's what you would reach with. Kind of interesting to pick stuff up with that. But what we're going to do is we're going to make an elbow and then some toes. So start right here, and watch what I do first. Ready? I'm going to go down like this, and then down like that. So I made like a little, kind of like an L shape. And then I'm going to start here and go down and make it smaller here. So I have like a little arm. Can you see that? And then to make the toes, I'm going to go like this. Out, out, in, just like that. And if you want, sometimes I find that this project, it helps to get rid of extra lines. Get rid of that little line in the arm. Sorry for the shaky camera, but it's worth it, okay? So we're going to do the same thing for the back leg, but chameleons have knees that point forward. So if you think about our body, our elbows point towards our back, but our knees point towards the front. So I thought that was kind of weird until I looked at a chameleon and thought about our body, and it's not that different. So let's make the knees point towards the front. So you're going to start right here, and you're going to go down and like this, and I might lose some of my chameleon toes here. That's okay. Okay, so you have an L shape, but it's pointing towards the head. Then you're going to start here and make it narrower. Okay, so just like that. And I have one, then I'm going to make a toe like that, and then we're going to pretend that there's another part of the toe right behind. Just like so. So my tail is actually covering part of the toe. It's called overlapping. That's what makes things look kind of real. And just like before, I'm just going to go in and take some of these away too. So I'll let you get caught up while you're watching my shaky camera. Do a front leg and a back leg. Erase the lines in the middle. And while you're at it, you know what? We can erase some of these lines in the tail as well. Okay, just a few. The last thing that we can do is we're going to put the spiny part on the back of your chameleon. You can make it pointy, you can make it wavy, you can make it really big if you want, you can make it really small if you want. I'm going to go kind of medium, and I'm going to make this one wavy. Make it smaller just at the end. There, just before your tail starts to really curve. I'm going to get rid of those. Okay, so we are ready to start painting. So I'm noticing that in my drawing here, I have a whole bunch of empty space up here. I could leave it. In this one, I didn't put any background color because I wanted to spend all the time on the chameleon itself. But I could put a background. I could maybe put some more branches up here. I could paint it blue. What I could also do is called cropping it. So when I'm done, I could cut it off here and make this more of a square shape. Okay? So there's lots of stuff you can do with your art when you're done. So what we're going to do is you're going to start with any color. So I'm going to take my flat square brush just like this, get it a little bit wet because my paint sometimes dries really quickly in this room. And I'm actually going to start with some pink. So I like this pink just the way it is. I'm going to change it later though. And what you're going to do is start to make some lines along your chameleon. So I'm going to do a line here. So I'm going to go along the body, down behind the neck of my chameleon. And this one I'm going to make pretty thick. So I'm going to go back up just like this. So there is the first layer of my chameleon. Okay, so since I still have pink, I just have to take more water because my stuff dries really quickly. I'm going to skip a little bit of space, and you know what? I'm going to do another pretty big thick line that starts at the top of my chameleon here and the bottom of my chameleon here. And then I'm going to connect them and paint them in. Now, do you have to put your chameleon's lines in the exact same spot as me? Nope, not at all. You don't have to do the same thick or thin lines that I do. You just need to pick a color and start filling in some lines on your chameleon. So watch this. I made a medium, a thick, and I'm going to take the side of my brush and I'm going to put just a thin color line here. I'm going to make it a little bit thicker, just like so. Here we go. Okay. And then you know what? I'm going to do one here. So Actually, you know what? I'm going to put one more thin line here before I move on to that, just so you guys can get caught up, because I want to talk about the way that this shape changes. So see right by your chameleon's bum, I guess right there, there's this little point where the tail joins the back of your chameleon. With your first color, draw a line that kind of curves up there, so it kind of looks like an egg at the back. And then from that same point, or just below, kind of curve it like this. And then you can paint that in. So that's actually going to create a new curve for the lines that you're going to put in your tail. So it kind of makes it look like everything's moving. It's good for your eye and for your brain to make it look a little bit more realistic. And then from here, you can go ahead and add some more layers of color. So I'm going to do another wide one here. And then I'm going to move some space. You know, I'm going to leave a pretty big space. And I'm going to do a medium one here. And maybe I'll do 2 medium ones just kind of down the road from that. Just like so. And then maybe another one here, maybe a wider spot, just like so. And then my chameleon's tail, I'm going to end it with pink, just like that. Okay. So, first layer of your chameleon, just like that. So what you're going to do for the next couple colors is the exact same thing, but you're going to layer the colors, you're going to layer your lines with different colors. So I'm going to go with yellow next, and I'm going to do a big spot of yellow right next to this pink. It doesn't have to be right next to anything. I just want to do it right here. Here's my next color. And then I'm going to not even go close to any of those, but I'm going to do my next layer here. And see how when I'm going with yellow, you can kind of see my lines through it. You can see my chameleon's leg lines. That is pretty important because even if we paint over them, we know that they're there. But sometimes if you use a light color, you can see your lines right through it. So just like that. And of course I need some water because my paint is drying. And then where do we go next? Well, you know what? I've changed my mind. I'm going to put a little line of yellow right here. And you know what I am going to do? I'm going to work on the tail, but before I do that, I want this part of my chameleon to be yellow. Oh, those are my boys. So I'm going to do my chameleon's head right here. So you do not have to make this yellow at all. You can do this whatever color you want. Yeah. So even though we're painting together, and this is a live stream, now that you know the 2 main steps of making lines and painting here, that's what you're going to do. And you're just going to follow along. It doesn't matter if you're using the same color as me, or if you're going faster or slower. It's basically the same step over and over to fill in this chameleon before we get to the details. So I'm going to do another one here. Oh, I got a little globby there. That's okay. And I'm going to do a nice, ooh, that's a lot of pink. Wow. I'm going to do a big one here because I really like how bright this yellow looks. Now that's another kind of good thing I was just thinking about. If you brought out a whole bunch of colors of paint today, and you start painting and you're like, you know what, I just kind of like this pink and yellow chameleon. You can totally just make a pink and yellow chameleon. You don't have to add any other colors unless, you really feel like you should use them. You can always put some paints back in your jars too. I do that all the time. But this is your artwork, so you can make it however you wish. And if it changes along the way, that is great too. That is a really cool thing that we get to do with art. We are lucky that we can be so flexible with it, right? Okay, so I did my yellow. Now I'm going to show you how to make a really cool orange, like a coral orange. So I have all this yellow on my brush. I'm going to move it here. I'm going to take a little bit of this pink and I'm going to mix it in. And I'm going to take a little bit more yellow. You actually make an orange just by mixing those 2 together. So some people think you can only make orange by mixing red and yellow. That's not true. There's all different shades of colors that you can mix with your paints. One really cool thing, one thing that I'm planning for summer actually, is a color mixing and painting kind of like basics class. So if you're going to be joining us for our summer reading program, and I hope that you are, there's going to be a week where we just talk about different brush strokes you can do, how to mix in colors, all that kind of stuff. And you know what? It's really fun to experiment together too. And it's stuff that I'll show you how to do, but then you can do all the big experimenting on your own. So I'm going to put a little orange bit here, just like so. And then you know what? To make some contrast happen, I'm actually going to put a blue or a green stripe right here to make it look, stand out a little bit more. I'm going to go with this here. See how dry my paint is, everybody? Crazy. Okay. So if you've noticed, I've gone through my legs a little bit, but I haven't painted them. I'm going to paint them. I'm going to choose a color later that's going to be darker, and that will cover pretty much everything. So that's what I'm going to do. If you don't have to follow the same plan as me, it's totally fine if you don't. So we're going to go just like this until we fill it all up. So I've done my pink, done my yellow, I've done my orange. Let's go on to some green. So this green is nice, but you know what? I'm going to change it a bit. I'm going to add a little bit of yellow. I really like the way that the yellow looks today. Kind of like a lime green, like more of a chartreuse green right now. And I'm going to start filling in some of these spots. Now, did everyone see how the pink kind of looks a little bit different now that I've put the green next to it? Those are actually complementary colors. So they're right across from each other on the color wheel. And sometimes they can make each other look stronger or darker or lighter or more vibrant. It's a really cool thing. Colors are so neat. I love learning about the rainbow and learning about how paint works together. And did you know that colors and paint work differently than colors of light together? It's pretty neat. I know it's pretty complicated. We won't talk too much about that because we're just painting and we're focusing. But it's a really cool thing to look into. Maybe I'll do a summer reading thing about that for Science Fun Fridays. I totally could. Okay, so I'm going to keep working on this here. Now I'm thinking, now that I have some green on here, I'm probably going to do blue or purple for my legs and the back of my chameleon for his little like mohawk kind of thing along there. I think that's what I'm going to do. Okay, so I'm going to do maybe a small green line here. And if your lines are not as straight as you'd like them, or not as straight as mine, do not worry. Do you think real chameleons have straight lines like this on their bodies? I don't think so. So don't worry if it's not exactly the way you want it to look. It will look awesome regardless. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to put some green here. I'm going to get creative. I'm going to blend that in a little bit, like so. And then I'm going to make another little spot under the chin to be blue. Okay. So I'm going to take some blue, and this blue, I actually really like that color. I'm going to make it just a teeny bit lighter. Ooh, my white was dry. I'm going to make it a little bit lighter, and I'm going to start mixing in these colors. So putting in these colors onto my chameleon, just like so. We got one color left after this. Hopefully you are doing well with your painting. I'd love to be able to see them afterwards. I know because it's been warmer, everyone's spending way more time outside, and that's great. You guys should be. I know we waited a long time for this beautiful weather to happen. So don't worry if you're watching this after, as you know, I want you to spend as much time as you can outside. Make sure you wear sunscreen and be careful and everything. But make sure, it's also important to have some time for your mind too, to be creative. So this is something to do, that's a really cool, cool down activity after dinner, or, if you need to cool down during the day. It's just too hot outside. I know we had a couple days like that. It's always great to come in and do something that's good for your mind. Sometimes you need TV too. I get like that. I just need to sit and relax and not have to worry about anything. But sometimes the thing that I love doing the most is painting. If you can't tell. Oh, I kind of like that. So you know what? I have my blue here, and I like this blue. I'm going to make it a little bit more. I'm going to do this leg. Oh, no. Ooh, look. There's blue right here. I'm going to make this like purple. I'm going to make this like blue. Now, if you notice, I didn't do the tree yet. Yeah, we'll do that next, actually. After we do all that stuff over there. So there we go. So I got my first leg done. Okay. Now the rest of everything is going to be purple, I think. Actually, you know what? See right there? I'm going to make this little bit blue. Okay. So sometimes you just have to take a look at your artwork, and based on the choices you've made about where you put things, you might need to make some changes. Ooh, see what happened there? I put a little bit of that blue over that purple, that pink, and we need a purple. Just a very light purple, faint purple, but it's still there. Which works because we're going to add purple in next. Just like so. Okay. So my last colors are going to be purple that I'm going to add. So actually, you know what? I'm going to make the eye blue. You can just fill in whatever color you wish. Now, if you look at the one that I made before, I did a blue eye, then I outlined in pink, and that's some of the stuff that we're going to do coming up. Okay. Last color, I'm going to do purple, but this purple is a little bit too dark, so I'm going to lighten it up a little bit. I'm going to add in some white. Remember, when you're mixing paint, try to mix in one spot without making a giant puddle. And because I'm kind of really into like indigo lately, I'm going to add a little bit of blue to this purple. Ooh, yeah, like an indigo gray purple kind of color. I like that. Okay, so my last phase of my chameleon. And you know what? The cool thing about mixing a little bit of blue in your purple sometimes is that depending on the light, it can look purple or it can look more blue, or it can kind of be a color that changes depending on how you look at it. And everybody sees colors differently. Yeah, you know, some people can't see colors at all. Some people can see some colors. Some people can see more colors than normal. Yeah, we all see colors in different ways, in different frequencies, in different intensities. So that means how strongly we see the color. If you see something really intense, it means you see it very strongly. So yeah, it's a kind of a cool thing, and I think that's why art is so exciting, because everyone sees the same thing a little bit differently, and I think that's important to know. Everyone has different thoughts and different perceptions and different ways to think about stuff. Okay, my last stripe on my chameleon is right here. Also, I forgot to mention too, just housekeeping things, my kids are home, my dogs are home, everybody's home now. So if we get interrupted, just adds to the excitement of our art class. Yeah, and I should have done the, hey, if this drops earlier, something might happen, but it already did, so. All right, I'm going to go and do this purple spot at the back here. Just like that. And I'm making my paint a little bit more watery because maybe I want this to be a little bit more translucent, right? So maybe it's a thinner skin and there would be light shining through it, just like so. Okay. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to make some brown to paint the branch. So a cool way to make some brown is taking some yellow. I'm going to take a big scoop of yellow and move it here. And I'm going to take a little bit of purple, because purple's pretty strong, and we're going to mix it together. And obviously that wasn't enough purple, so guess what? I'm going to take a little bit more and mix it in. And see, we've made kind of a warm golden brown. So I'm going to even make that darker. I'm going to take more purple, mix it in, just like so. Now, if I want it to be a little darker even, I'm going to take a tiny bit of blue. I'm going to make it a little greener, just like so. Okay. You know what? If I want it even a bit darker, I can take a tiny bit of black. And just mix that in as well. Remember I said tiny bit? Oh well. Just take some more. Actually, I kind of like that color. It looks like a mossy kind of brown. Then you can take your brush and you can just fill in the tree trunk that's underneath your chameleon. Now when I made this earlier, I did do the tree trunk before, but all my colors sometimes didn't show through. So this way we're just kind of filling in backwards so that the colors would be the most vibrant on your piece of paper or whatever you're painting with. And then the tree would be like in the background because it's just a background. Yeah. And don't worry, remember this branch is just the background of your chameleon. It's not the main part. We're not painting a branch with a chameleon. We're painting a chameleon on a branch. So it's okay if it's a little kind of choppy and stuff. It's not the main focus of your painting. Okay. We're just working our way along here. That's Frankie whistling in the background. Right. So, just going to get this little spot here. I'm painting a little bit quickly. This stuff doesn't matter too much. And also, if you notice, I'm not filling in that whole spot of my tree branch, because some of it I'm going to erase afterwards. Okay. Next step, what we're going to do is we're going to do a couple accent colors. So I'm going to use my fine point brush, and I'm going to focus on the eye. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually use some pink. We're going to do a pink circle around the chameleon's eye. And all you're going to do is go like this. And this will make it look like the eye kind of jumps out a little bit more too. Just like this. And guess what I just did, everybody? I just put my hand in the tree. That's okay. Just like so. And then what I can do too is using my pink is I can put some dots on my chameleon's nose. And the dots can go all the way up towards the top. Maybe he's got like chameleon freckles. Just like so. And you know what? Maybe I'm going to put a few along here as well. Maybe a few down here. There we go. Oh yeah, look, I put some of that. But I kind of like that. Maybe it's grabbing on so hard that some of the bark is coming off. Okay. So from here, we're going to do a little bit of black outlining. So this is where you're just going to need a little tiny bit of black. And I'm going to make mine a little bit more fluid because mine will dry really quickly. And what we're going to do is you're going to start from one side to the other. So I'm right-handed, so I'm going to start here and work my way across. If you're left-handed, start from this side and work your way across. And all we're going to do is a very gentle, simple outline. Just like that. And it doesn't have to be perfectly smooth. It actually looks kind of cool if it's a little bit bumpy. I'm going to go just along there. And then remember we did this line here for the mouth. We're just going to go like that and go up and over. And I'm going to do a little line here for the smile, just like so. Then I'm going to move to the arm and just outline the lines that we drew, just like so. The belly, start from here. Work my way down. Oh, now I have to be careful there with the tail, right? You know, that only part of that little toe is showing. And then I'm going to go here and down and down. I'm going to take a little bit more. Like that. And don't worry if your lines are a little bit funky. I'm kind of doing that on purpose because my lines in the chameleon are so straight that I don't want everything to look so like contrived or so synthetic. I want it to kind of have a naturalness, as much of a natural rainbow chameleon can look, but I want to have some contrast in the lines. It makes things a little bit more interesting. So another thing is when you are doing your artwork, don't think you always have to work one way. You can move it around. And you know what? All my years of doing this, sometimes I forget that. So I also have lots of practice doing fine lines. If you're new to this, try doing little sections at a time, just like this. See how I'm doing little bits? I have more control over where my line goes. And also, it gives you that kind of bumpy look to it as well. Just like that. I'm going to start here and go along, just like so. Okay. Now I've done my outlines. What I'm going to do next is I'm going to put a pupil in my chameleon's eye. So right here, and you know what, I'm going to move it this way because I tend to be putting my hand in everything today. I'm going to do a pretty big black pupil. Okay, perfect. Now while that's drying, I'm going to take a few of my other colors that I have. And you know what, I think I'm actually going to go with yellow today. I'm going to make a lighter yellow, so a little bit of white. And I'm going to put more of these chameleon freckles along the side here. Just a little bit. And see how they're all different sizes, and I'm not doing like this with my brush. I'm kind of pushing it down lightly to get different sized dabs or dashes, right? Dots. Okay. And I like that. Doesn't stand out that much, so you know what? I'm going to take a little bit of pink, because he has pink freckles here, or she has pink freckles there. And I'm just going to put a few little pink dots in there as well, just to make it look a little bit more interesting. Just like that. Now, I'm just going to do a few dots and a few details here on mine, but this is your artwork, and I don't have to stay on live with you the whole time. You can make this as complicated and as detailed and as colorful as you like. You can put freckles over the whole body. You can do tons of things to this little chameleon. Really cool. Get creative. So while we're waiting for this pupil to dry, because I see that mine is still wet, let's do some leaves. So I'm going to make some teal leaves because I have lots of blue and lots of green left over. I'm going to move some over to a new spot. And you know what? I know I'm not going to use that blue anymore, so I'm going to mix a little bit of green in there. Ooh, and I really like that color. And it should be pretty opaque, which means you can't see through it because we've mixed the two colors together. And if it's still not opaque enough, you can just take some white and mix it in. Now I'm going to show you a little trick that I'm totally going to use. Remember I made a mistake right here? Guess what I'm going to put there? I'm going to put a leaf right there. And yeah, you know what? You can see some of those little dots through it and everything. No big deal. It will just add to the texture of the leaf. I'm going to put a leaf here. And then I'm going to put a leaf, maybe I'll do another little one here. And maybe I'll do one more big one on the other side. Make that one a little bit more opaque. Opaque means you can't really see through it. Transparent means you can see through something. So we're going to make another leaf. Just goes like that. It's going to fit perfectly in that little spot. Right there. Does anybody know what chameleons eat? I think they eat bugs. Yep, they catch bugs with their really long tongues. You know what? I'm going to put another little leaf here. I changed my mind. And to make it look a little bit more even, I'm going to put a tiny little one right there as well. Teeny tiny little one. Okay. I'm still waiting for that pupil to dry. You can see it's a little bit wet. So to make some more details in my leaf, I'm going to take some blue, take some green, make like a darker green color right over here. And with this, I'm going to draw some veins, some leaf veins, just like that, in my leaf. My paint is drying really quickly. We're almost done, everybody. We just got the pupil to do that last little bit. And then our little chameleon will be done for today. Now, the only thing that I would do, now that I'm looking at my artwork, and it's always good to look at your artwork and see where you can improve, because I do that all the time. See my branch? When it was drying, I really liked the way that it looked. There were some dark spots and some light spots. But this one, it kind of looks a little bit wishy-washy. So what I would do is take some of my brown, make a darker version of my brown and then a lighter version of my brown, and draw some little twigs throughout it. Or draw some little like lines to make it look bumpy. But I'm not going to do that on here. So I just want you guys to worry about the chameleon, because the last thing that we're going to do is put a pupil on our chameleon. So when you're doing your little pupil, well, we have the black here, we're going to do a shine to make it look a little bit more alive. So that shine can go halfway between the color and the black. So see how it's right on the border of both of those right there? I'm gonna put a little tiny one just below it, like so. So it looks like it's alive and shiny. And that is how we make a rainbow chameleon. Yeah, lots of steps, lots of colors, but it's a lot of the same stuff over and over again. So it's something that pretty much anybody can make as long as you give yourself time and don't feel rushed in doing it. So before we go though, I just wanted to show you with this one. I was talking about adding a background. So what we can do, if you want to do that, take some water after it's dry. And you know what, I'm actually going to mix this right over here. So take some water, take a little bit of blue paint, or whatever color background you want. Make it really watery. And then you can just start to paint around your chameleon, just like so. And don't worry if you have some little bubbles and stuff. It actually will look nice and textured. So I'm just going to work this around because that little bit of blue that gets on my chameleon, first of all, is not going to show up that much, but also might give it like a shine to it, like a reflective quality to it as well. And I can mix colors. I could even take some of this green. Maybe there's like a tree over here that's reflecting off of. You don't always have to do background first and then work your way up. That's the way a lot of people are taught, but sometimes you can go back and add some things in afterwards. Yeah. Exactly, just like so. So this is a really quick way that you can add, you know, a change to a painting you've already made. Especially if you look at it, you're like, I don't know if why, something bugging me about it. I do that all the time. So I think it's a bad habit. But there are ways that I know I can play and fix and change and make adjustments so that I learn and also that I'm happier with my artwork. Yeah. I'm almost done. See how quick that is too? It's very satisfying. You can make it really, really thin. It is really fun to do because you know you won't wreck anything. Okay, so there we go. All right, thanks everybody for joining me today for our rainbow chameleon painting. As usual, these videos will be posted on our YouTube channel. I'm going to edit the first little bit and the second bit together. Thankfully, we were able to stay on the full second bit. If you have any questions or comments, feedback or anything, please send me an email, kdupuy@notlpl.org. I'm always looking for feedback. Sorry for the technical difficulties today. We're still working it out in terms of our new technology. And we will see you next Monday at 4 o'clock for week 12, if you can believe it, of NOTLLibrary Live Create with Kasia. Okay, thanks again for joining me. Have a great rest of your Monday, and we'll see you next week. Bye, everybody.